Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's YouTube video. If this is the first time you're ever watching a video of mine, I'd like to introduce myself really quickly. My name is Marcus Hustle and I run an Onlyfans management agency. We have been doing so for the last 2-3 years and we manage models that are doing upwards of $120,000 a month, which is crazy stuff. So if you're watching this and you're interested and you want to get involved, whether you are a model or you want to start an agency that's managing models of this nature, reach out to me on Instagram at Marcus Hustle. But anyway, this video is not about me. This video is an interview with a very special guest, with Alexia. Alexia has done an incredible job on Onlyfans. She has an amazing career on there and she has a very interesting story as well that I wanted to share with you guys. So I hope you enjoy. You can find Alexia's contact down below, all of her social media links and her OF link as well. And without further ado, I hope you enjoy the video. It's really insightful, and let me know any other creators you want me to interview on a video like this and you want to hear a story from their side. Other than that, hope you enjoyed the video, and yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Same as always for everybody watching, if you'd like to give everybody a bit of context about who you are and what is it that you do.
So I am Alexia Woods. I'm 21 and I am an online content creator, OnlyFans model, basically.
Cool stuff. And how long have you been doing that?
So I've been doing it for 3 years, but I've been doing it full time for only one.
Okay. So the first kind of 2 years were you just kind of like doing a bunch of things on the side, and this was one of them?
Yeah, so I originally was working as a waitress from the age of 14 to 18, and then I did admin for up until I was like 19, 20.
Interesting.
Um, but yeah, so I did it alongside from the age of 18 up until like 20, and then I ended up making like my yearly wage in a month and was like, this is not economically correct here, so it just made more sense to put all of my time into this.
Okay, interesting. So there's a lot of questions I want to dive deep into this before we go into kind of your rest of your journey. Because again, I think a lot of people that are watching this are going to be very curious, especially people who are watching who want to get into OnlyFans as a model and as a creator. Because they hear these stories all the time of like, oh, well, I made my fucking annual income in like a month when I jumped on OF.
Yeah.
For you in particular, Alexia, what was your first couple of months like? Did it go straight away really well, or was it kind of a gradual increase?
No, so I completely went into this blind. Like I knew no one in the industry. I pretty much just logged onto Twitter, set up an account, set up an OnlyFans account, and just looked at what other people were doing.
Mm,
So my first month, I think I only made a couple hundred. That was it.
yeah.
But the problem is obviously no one knows who you are at that point. So you have to start building up a fan base, which is what I was trying to do through Twitter. And eventually I think I was making like $1,000 each month and then just slowly progressing upwards.
And then until you saw that kind of money start coming in, you're like, all right, maybe I could do this full time. But
Yeah. So yeah, go on.
I was just going to say, but again, for context, you mentioned that you, for like 2 years, you were kind of on and off, kind of doing it as a side thing until a year ago, you started taking it seriously, right?
Yeah.
And just curious, what was there anything in particular that happened that made you think, okay, let's just go all in with this?
It was just like considerably seeing my earnings going up. So
Sure.
it just made more sense to do it that way.
Sure. And again, also another question before we go into kind of where you are now, because again, I think a lot of people, they are in two minds about jumping into it from a creator's point of view, right?
Mhm.
And we always say this, I'm sure you're going to say the same thing as well, let's say, which is like, if you're going to do it, make sure you want to fucking do it, like consider it, etc. Right? But from your point of view, because you went from kind of, I think your last 9 to 5 was accounting, you mentioned,
Like
waitress.
admin, yeah,
Okay.
like admin, so and yeah, before that waitressing.
Okay, so from that into kind of, OF, what was kind of going through your mind? What made you want to even get into it in the first place as well?
So I started at the start of lockdown. So obviously at that time I was waitressing and it wasn't feasible to actually do
Yeah.
that because the restaurants were closed. But I was very careful when I started. So for the
Mhm.
first year, I was a faceless body.
Okay.
I didn't show my face at all. It was all like photos from here down. So it would have been very hard to recognize me. So I feel like that was kind of like a good trial. But
Interesting.
as soon as I did start showing my face, I think I um, quadrupled my earnings from like $2,000 to $8,000 a month.
Yeah.
Because everyone just likes a face to the name sort of thing.
Yeah, correct. I think as well, I mean, it doesn't take like a fucking scientist to figure out, but I think a lot of people are obviously worried about jumping into it, right? Because of all of the backlash or the feedback you might get.
Mm.
But I think as well as just saying to yourself, I was just done one of these kind of interviews with Holly, and we're both saying that when I mean, Holly started about 5-6 years ago, I believe. But when OF was first coming about, there was like a really fucking bad stigma. Like
Yeah,
if you somebody says OnlyFans, you just think of like the worst things. Whereas
yeah,
nowadays, it's, I don't know. I mean, it's not as like normal as like Snapchat or Instagram, but it is very, very common, especially in the Western
yeah.
side of the world. And it's just such an easy way of making an income. For yourself, Alexia, did you ever go to like uni or anything? Like, were you in debt, or did you just
No,
go straight?
I was quite lucky. I decided when I was in sixth form that I just didn't really want to
Okay,
do that.
cool.
Didn't really enjoy. Yeah, I didn't enjoy really studying in school. And I was like, if I go to uni, I'm probably going to enjoy it even less. Um, but I always planned to work in like the city, in finance and stuff like that.
That
And
was your plan, yeah?
yeah, that was my plan. And then I got to like year 12 or something. I was like, really don't want to be spending all my days sitting in an office and just like in like a little cubicle or something. So
Yeah.
this was more of a creative outlet to do.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, for example, exactly what you say, just saying there, you don't have to fucking be in one place for what you're doing now. You can travel the world. And I'm
Mhm.
assuming, is that what you've been doing? Have you traveled a lot this year so far?
Yeah, I think I've been to like 6 or 7 places this year.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to be going to Iceland again this November, so that'll be really
Sick.
cool.
Sick. Good on you. Good on you. I think as well, I think a lot of people forget that like that's not normal. I sometimes forget as well.
Yeah.
Like it's such a luxury, right? To be able to do that many times a year. And I think that's again something that you can do with OF. But cool. So going back to your story then, Alexia, again, I want to share your story on that's my kind of purpose of these videos, right? And also,
Mhm.
again, I'm sure I probably mentioned it already, but you guys can find Alexia's all links down below. So you started, let's just say a year ago, kind of properly, right?
Mhm.
What were your first couple of months like in sense that like what were you doing? Was it overwhelming? Was it pretty easy? Were your first couple of months like? And then we'll kind of go into the next 3 months after that.
So the first months after I quit my job, I feel like it was quite new. So it was quite refreshing being able to
Mm,
actually put all your time in, like not having to sneak away on your lunch breaks to do something, or as soon as you get home at 5 p.m., you've got to get everything done in those hours before bed. So now it obviously means I can change my sleeping schedule so I can actually talk to more. I have a lot of American clients
mhm.
compared to UK. So obviously the hours they're on is at like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
If I was working a 9 to 5, that wouldn't physically be possible to do that. So it enabled me to be able to contact those people a lot more often, and just yeah, it created a better relationship between my customers as well, because I'm able to reply a lot faster, which is what people want. They don't
Yeah.
want to be waiting like 6 hours for a response.
Hmm. I can probably imagine as well. It's just that peace of mind of just whatever you're doing throughout the day, you're constantly thinking about just that one thing, which is OF
Yeah.
and what kind of content to create, who to speak to. So it's really interesting. I'm curious, by the way, how come there's a lot of American fans from your
I
account?
genuinely have no
Don't
idea.
know.
It's really odd. I feel like I'm one of the few UK girls that says this as well.
Yeah, yeah.
But when I've looked at my stats, I think I have like a 60% sway on US clients.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know if it's just the way that my things are being put out on For You page, like
Mm.
explore page, that sort of thing. But
It's
around
working.
yeah, yeah.
It's working. Good on you. Okay, cool. So first couple of months, again, you come from an interesting point of view where you already had some experience, right? You're already kind of dabbling around with OF, but then you quit your job and then you went all in. So I think again,
Mhm.
for a lot of creators, just to give, because I hear this all the time. I've spoken to fucking God knows how many at this point. Just to foreshadow and just to give everybody a bit of context, if you're starting out from completely zero knowledge and you want to jump into it and you'll do it all by yourself, by all means do it. But there is a lot to it. I think a lot of people have this misperception that OF is just so easy. All these girls just post a picture and they make a lot of money.
Yeah, it's all just feet pics.
It's so much
That's
more
what
than
loads
that.
of people say.
Yeah, it's so much more than that. So again, I want to hear it from yourself, for example. So you started, you had a lot more time obviously on your hands now, so you quit your job and you're kind of going all in on it. Fantastic.
Mhm.
At what point did you think to perhaps outsource certain parts, such as like content creation or like some of your marketing side of things, or did somebody approach you?
No, we had a mutual friend that basically got me in touch with this lady called Grace, and she's absolutely amazing. And she's been helping me schedule all of my stuff from now on, and just being able to take the scheduling off my hands, even just that is a huge like time relief,
Mm,
because people don't understand how long scheduling actually takes. So you've obviously got to take all the content, upload it all, and if your Wi-Fi is absolutely horrendous, it's going to take even longer.
Yeah.
You've got to caption everything, and if you're only working on OnlyFans, it's a little bit easier. But at the time, I was working on Pocket Stars, OnlyFans, and Fansly, so I'm uploading to 3 separate sites as well. But I've
Yeah.
now managed to kind of narrow it down just to OnlyFans.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Talking about that as well, but just before that, again, I think one thing you just missed out there, Alexia, even just the idea of coming up with the content in the first place, like what to
Yeah.
fucking create. There's a
Mhm.
certain point where you just fucking run out of ideas. Like, okay,
Yeah,
what
well,
do I?
even like trying to find like TikTok sounds to be able
Yeah,
to
yeah,
promote yourself, like that is very a long
yeah,
process. So having Grace to be able to like go on and actually find these sounds as well for me means that I literally just need to focus on filming the content or turning up on the day,
yeah.
and I'll have like my videographer there ready to go. And it just means we have better high quality content, which hopefully gets pushed out a bit more.
And it just saves so much fucking time. You can focus on what you love doing. Talking about
Mhm.
that, what are like your favorite parts of what you do? Just everything in general. Talking to people, you get to travel, anything along those lines.
Yeah, no, talking to people is good. I like to be able to have a connection with my fans, but also like that was one of the reasons I quit my job, is because you only get 28 holiday days.
Mm.
That's for me, that's not enough. Like I ended up they thought I was in the UK working because I was working from home. But I was actually in Spain for a week and managed to get away with it. But they always think that you need to be in the office to work, when realistically you
Yeah,
don't.
yeah,
So yeah, that was probably the main thing, being able to travel and actually being able to spend time at home more
yeah, yeah.
and not commuting for half the day or something like that. I've got 2 cats now which I could look after, so
It's sick. You just get more time for yourself and doing what you
yeah,
actually want to be doing. Yeah. I think
100%.
also the fact that you've gone through that kind of 9 to 5, just doing a normal job, right? I know it might sound crazy to me and you, but like a lot of people don't even experience that. I've spoken to
No,
so
yeah,
many models who just went from fucking
really.
college to OF, never have done, never had a job, and they just always
Yeah,
kind of live their own life, like just traveling the world, doing whatever the fuck they want to do. But I feel like if you go through what me and you have gone through, because I've had a bunch of shitty 9 to 5s, at least you then know what you don't want to be doing, you know, and then you're like,
yeah,
okay, well, I'm working to not do that.
yeah. You value this a lot more now. It's so I don't think I could go back to having to
Exactly.
like to physically deal with people's complaints in a restaurant that are completely moot as well.
You just don't care in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So without going into too like many personal details, because I completely appreciate you want to keep certain things obviously to yourself. But in terms of earnings, because I know for a fact there's going to be a lot of people curious about it.
Mm.
Was there a certain point, or like was there a certain month where you looked at your earnings, you're like, what the fuck? And what was that feeling like?
Yeah, so pretty much as soon as I started working with Grace,
Okay,
my earnings tripled.
sick.
So I was already earning 5 figures a month, and she managed to triple that from month to month. So like I was like, Jesus Christ, like it's good. She's so well making my money, and it's worth like actually working with these sort of people if you
Mm.
know how to do it, and you're obviously not getting mugged off by like a fake agency or something like that, because you have
Yeah.
to watch out for those sort of ones.
Yeah, yeah. And again, I'm sure, I don't know if you're happy. I can cut this if you don't want me to say this, but prior to us jumping on this video call, you mentioned that you haven't ever worked with like an agency before. It was just Grace.
No,
Um,
yeah.
so you've had a like a blissful journey, you know, because I've
Yeah, I
spoken
mean,
to.
obviously you get like all of the like I must have got at least 10 messages a day on Instagram, like daily, of just
Yeah.
like these random people with like 100 followers, like, hi. And I'm like, you don't even have a management account. This is literally your personal Instagram. I
I
just
can help you.
try and make it look professional.
I can help you scale your OF, and they don't even know
Yeah.
how to navigate around a platform. They're probably
And they've
never
like
logged
got
in.
these screenshots of like Google images, and they've like tried to edit it. And I'm like, that's not even how the layout looks.
So yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, Alexia, because I feel like I'm definitely a part to play in that. I make a lot of YouTube videos like teaching guys how to do it. But I
These
mean,
guys come up like, I can do this.
yeah, quite literally. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting. I think there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. Obviously, the same as everything. But I think a lot of people, again, have the misconception that they just believe it's so fucking easy. They'll sign up a model and they'll take 50, 60%, whatever. And they'll just do a really shit job, right? They'll put
Yeah,
in no effort and they'll just take their money and go. But that's really not
bare
how it works.
minimum. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're going 50-50, I mean, you're literally doing, you're both working together. You need to have the same amount of energy, time, and effort put into it. That's the only way
Mhm.
it's going to work.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've had a really, really blissful journey. Let's say you haven't experienced these agencies, and I hear these fucking horror stories all the time.
Oh yeah.
But what's life like at the moment then? Because again, I think there might be somebody watching who's potentially wanting to get into OnlyFans and looks up to people like yourself who's been doing it for a little while. What's your day to day like at the moment?
My day to day, oh, today has been quite nice. Woke up, had a bit of breakfast, went to the gym, and that's one thing that I never had time for was going to the gym when I was working a 9 to 5 as well. So
Yeah.
I actually get to focus on me a lot more.
Mhm.
And then it's pretty much as soon as I get off this call, I'm just creating content for the rest of the day. So that's filming promotional content or filming pay-per-views that go out. And then I'm able to have dinner with my partner and not worry about anything like that. Stroke my cat, and I can have a early night, and or if it turns out that I have to stay up because obviously the American clients, and I'm up until 3 a.m. But that means that I can have a lie in
Yeah.
and not have to get up at 8 a.m. to get to work.
This is cool. This is so good to hear. Yeah. Because
Mhm.
again, I hear, obviously, I know a lot of people who are just living a normal life, like going to their ordinary 9 to 5, and a lot of people fucking hate it. But then a lot of
Mhm.
people don't take any action to just get out of it.
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
but then also you hear a lot of people who try and do something like OF, for example, and it doesn't unfortunately go to plan. And they're also like, oh, fuck. So what kind of we'll leave it off with this, Alexia. What kind of piece of advice would you give to any creator that's watching this, who's looking to either get started or to just scale their OnlyFans even more?
Definitely don't come into this thinking that it's easy, and you will need to build up your social media platforms to create a brand for yourself and can be consistent with it. So posting every day so that people actually see your face every day and like, oh, maybe I should actually subscribe. She looks kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's so true. And you know what? I didn't even speak about this, but you mentioned yourself that you used to be a faceless creator, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I always say this to like people who want to run an agency. I say, look, if you want to get started, I really don't recommend you working with a model who's, you know, essentially like a faceless creator, on the
Yeah.
basis that it just really means that the creator is not ready themselves. So
Mhm.
it's, yeah, you just leave them
Yeah,
to
it's a
it. They're
testing the
gonna figure it out.
waters sort of
Yeah,
thing.
exactly, right? They might as well just figure it out by themselves.
Mhm.
So I think, and by what you were saying as well, if you're going to do it, make sure you understand that it's a lot of hard work. It's not as simple as what people fucking make it out to be.
Yeah.
Um, and I think if you have somebody like Grace, for example, like yourself, if you have just somebody who knows what they're doing from the marketing point of view and can save you a lot of time,
Yeah,
by all means, go for it. So
100%.
sounds great. Alexia, I appreciate your time. Once again, everybody watching, you can find all of our links down below. Thank you very much for jumping on this call, Alexia. Take care.
Take care. Thank
Bye
you.
bye.